The U.S. and Cuba restore diplomatic relations. This is SkyWatchTV News for Wednesday, July 1st, 2015. I'm Derek Gilbert. President Obama addressed reporters in the Rose Garden at the White House this morning, announcing that the United States will reopen its embassy in Havana on July 20th, restoring diplomatic ties that were severed 54 years ago when rebels led by Fidel Castro overthrew the U.S.-backed government of Fulgencio Batista on January 1st of 1959. The first announcement of this historic development came back in December, followed 18 months of secret negotiations brokered by the government of Canada and Pope Francis. The holy month of Ramadan for Muslims is anything but peaceful where the Islamic State is concerned. A group linked to ISIS launched coordinated attacks on as many as 15 Egyptian military outposts in the northern Sinai Peninsula today. At least 53 soldiers are dead, another 50 wounded. Egyptian officials say that 50 militants were killed during the fighting. This came one day after Egypt's President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi promised to step up the battle against Islamic militants, and 2 days after Egypt's chief prosecutor was assassinated in Cairo. Meanwhile, the Islamic State is threatening to overthrow Hamas in the Gaza Strip. A new video released by the Islamic State criticizes Hamas for focusing on the wrong goals. In the video, one fighter says, "The point of jihad is not to liberate land, but to fight for and implement the law of Allah." In Jerusalem, flyers attributed to the Islamic State were posted around the city this past weekend. The leaflets promise a massacre of Christians in Jerusalem on Eid al-Fitr, July 18th, which marks the end of Ramadan. Now, ISIS doesn't have an operational presence in Israel as far as we know. In fact, the Israeli newspaper Haaretz suggests that these might be just a hoax. But the FBI here in America is on alert, looking at possible terrorist activity this coming July 4th weekend. The agency has set up command centers at all 56 of its field offices. Even though there's no specific credible threat, the agency does seem to be more proactive this July 4th than last year. A seventh African-American church in the South has burned since the shooting deaths of 9 people at a church in Charleston, South Carolina, June 17th. Mount Zion AME Church in Greeleyville, about 50 miles north of Charleston, burned to the ground Tuesday night. Now, preliminary investigation, according to a federal investigator, shows that this was not arson. The area was hit by a thunderstorm Tuesday night, and lightning may be the culprit. However, this historic African-American church was burned by the Ku Klux Klan in 1995. Privacy advocates were pleased last month when the U.S. Congress allowed the Patriot Act to expire, putting a curb on the NSA's warrantless wiretap activities. But you can hold your applause for another 6 months or so. The Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court has authorized the NSA a 180-day extension of its program, so the NSA's mass collection of our cell phone metadata will continue for at least another 6 months. The American Civil Liberties Union said yesterday that it will file a suit in an appeals court to get the program shut down. Today in Salt Lake City, the Episcopal Church USA will vote on allowing religious marriages for same-sex couples in all its congregations. The denomination is holding its National Assembly this week in Salt Lake City. It will also vote on a resolution to make the church's wedding rites gender-neutral, removing language that marriage is the union of a husband and a wife, and dropping references to marriage being for the procreation of children. Now, 12 years ago, the ECUSA made headlines by ordaining its first openly gay bishop. And the denomination has allowed priests to marry same-sex couples in civil ceremonies, but hasn't changed its official position on marriage. Currently, among mainline Christian denominations, only the United Church of Christ and the Presbyterian Church USA allow same-sex weddings in all its congregations. Now, while some in the Episcopal Church argue that bringing its doctrine into line with the culture instead of with Scripture is necessary to continue to grow or to try to grow, it has grown increasingly liberal in its doctrines since about the year 2000, and the church has lost a quarter of its membership since 2003, the year that Bishop Gene Robinson, again, the first openly gay bishop, was ordained. The United Church of Christ was the first Protestant mainline denomination to support gay marriage in 2005. Since then, its rate of decline is so sharp that if it continues at the same rate, the UCC will cease to exist within 30 years, and the Presbyterian Church USA, which dropped all standards of clerical sexual behavior in 2010, is losing members so quickly that it may cease to exist by 2037. So today's votes in the Episcopal Church USA are really nothing new for this denomination, which has a history in recent years of moving outside the bounds of Christian orthodoxy. You see here on your screen examples of press coverage from 2004 when the Episcopal Church's Office of Women's Ministries posted a ritual online taken almost verbatim from a pagan rite for worshiping the divine feminine. The ritual, which was addressed to the Queen of Heaven, called for wine, milk mixed with honey, and raisin cakes. Now, raisin cakes are referenced in Hosea 3 as being part of a pagan ritual, and the Queen of Heaven, identified in the book of Jeremiah, is equated to Ashtoreth or Astarte or Ishtar, consort of Baal. In short, today's vote in the ECUSA, in my opinion, the death knell of a denomination that long ago abandoned Jesus Christ. From the conspiracy file, ufologists are upset at NASA, claiming that the space agency shut down the video feed from the International Space Station just as it captured 3 unidentified flying craft leaving Earth's atmosphere. I won't show you the video here because the pinpoints of light are really hard to see in the video, but the story was picked up by major media outlets, and again, the drumbeat continues. ET is real, ET is real, ET is real. In other science news, extra bacon. Researchers in South Korea have found a way to reproduce a condition found in Belgian blue cattle called double muscling. Belgian blues are known for their beefy size. They lack a gene that regulates muscle growth, which leads to their over-muscled condition. Using a gene editing technique, researchers in South Korea have found they can replicate the condition in pigs. Their hope is that they can create double-muscled pigs, resulting in fewer hogs being killed, less land being used for hog production, and more bacon per square mile. Now, this genetics revolution really began about 5,500 years ago in the plains of Shinar, or ancient Sumer. Dr. Michael Lake talked about it in part 2 of a 3-part interview last night on the Christian television network, SkyWatchTV. If you missed that episode when it aired live on CTN, you can see it on demand on the SkyWatchTV Roku channel. Now, if you have a Roku account or Roku box and you have not yet added the SkyWatchTV channel to your account, instructions on how to do so are posted online at skywatchtv.com/Roku, or just log on to your Roku account online and search the channel store for SkyWatchTV. We appreciate your comments, your suggestions, your questions. We take those at our Facebook page or by email. Send them to me directly, dgilbert@skywatchtv.com, and I'll get back to you as quickly as I can. We thank you for watching as we keep watch. I'm Derek Gilbert, and this is SkyWatch TV.